All right, it's noon on the dot. Good Thursday afternoon, everyone. I'm Fox 19 Now First Alert Meteorologist Brad Maushart here in the Fox 19 Streaming Center. Sponsored by the giant Cincinnati sign, which is slowly but surely coming to get. Look, they got one letter, basically, I think. I'm having a hard time seeing back there, but it looks like they got one letter left. They just have, I mean, everything's up, but they're doing like the finishing touches. They're doing like the edges of these letters they've been working on the last week or so, and it looks like they're just now finished up or getting really close to finishing up the N, the first N in Cincinnati. The I looks almost done, but they have that first C. It's just a little rough around the edges there. Anyway, that is the small side track to what we're going to be talking a lot about the next couple of days, and really for me it's going to be the next half hour or so here on the stream if you want to stay around that long. But we're going to be talking a lot of snow, right? We have two big clipper systems that are going to be diving into the Ohio Valley, right, back to back, both of which are going to have a lot of impacts on travel. They're going to slow things down, as early as late tonight, and especially tomorrow morning. Friday morning, going to be a mess. Area-wide. Slightly lesser impacts the farther northeast you get of downtown, just because that's going to be the edge of the system. But areas around and southwest of downtown, I mean, we're talking 2 to 4 inches. Doesn't sound like a lot, but just based on the timing, it'll be right in time for the morning drive. It'll already be on the ground. It's going to be a slow go of it tomorrow morning, and that's just round number one. Round number two has trended a lot higher here the last 24 hours. Yesterday we were saying, not a ton, maybe 1 to 3. It's much higher than that today, and we'll talk about that storm too coming up. All right, as always, I'm trying to monitor the comment situation. I got some pulled up here on the screen. I have some pulled up on my phone if you do have any questions. The one thing I'll just say right now, if you're asking about specific areas and totals, I'm going to get to it. I promise. I know that that's what everybody wants to know, exactly how much snow you're going to see. I have about 7 different maps. Okay, it's maybe like 3, but either way, it feels like 7. There's like 7 pieces. Anyway, they're going to break these down in detail, several different ways to look at it. Probabilistic stuff I just posted to Facebook too, which shows most of the tri-state has about an 80% chance, right? 80% chance or better to see 4 inches of snow by Sunday. So the chances are high that you're going to see snow. How much? I'll let you know coming up in a second. And if I don't answer it, then we'll get to it. But I promise you, at some point here before the end of this, I will have probably covered it. If you have any other questions, not specifically related to a specific community or anything, always ask them, right? Just don't be disappointed if I don't start going community to community, because I'll be here for an hour then, if not longer. All right, let's hop to it. If I hit the right button there, we would be rolling on in. Here is what we're expecting outside. Again, first alert weather day, the first of several today. Again, that snow returning after sunset tonight. That in terms of timing. 7, 8 o'clock, right? Sunset's early today still, just after 5. So well after sunset, that's when the snow will start to move in. Around 7 to 8 o'clock, we'll probably see some slick spots as early as 10 to 11 o'clock tonight. And then widespread wintry, snow-covered roads and sidewalks and whatnot by tomorrow morning. Slow travel, it will be a problem, and not just today. So today, that snow, again, 7 to 9 o'clock, that's when it starts to slide in from west to east. Okay, so west to east, downtown, think probably closer to 8 to 9 o'clock, and then areas east of town, 9 or a little bit later. That continues through early tomorrow morning, maybe even to about midday in a few spots in our easternmost communities as that slides out from west to east. And by Friday morning, still about 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, we'll have about 2 to 4 inches on the ground. A little bit less to the northeast. Most of the tri-state, though, it's going to be in that 2 to 4 inch swath, so think right around 3 for most of us. And then we catch a little bit of a break. That'll be Friday night, Friday afternoon really, evening, and then all the way through early Saturday. That's a little break. You're not going to see much improvement in the roads, right? I think most of your major roadways, the highly traveled roads will be pretty good again by Friday night. But temperatures are going to be very, very cold, and that's going to lead to our next issue, which is going to be the bitter cold temperatures. We'll talk about that in detail too. By the time we hit Saturday morning, we're in the low teens, and feels like temperatures will be in the low single digits. Salt doesn't work all that well once you get back into the single digits, and we have a lot of that on tap for Sunday and Monday morning. So, these slick spots are going to be lingering probably through early next week in a few spots with the bitter cold that's going to be settling on in. Round number 2, Clipper system number 2, Alex here asking, I think it's Alex, the name's cut off on the side of my screen. Let's see. Alex asking about when the warmer weather's coming. Don't worry. This is not going to last forever. In fact, it will not last past the first 7 of the 10-day forecast. This snow will be out of here by this time next week. So warmer temperatures are coming for next week. We'll talk about that coming up. What else we got going on? St. Leon's starting to see some snow. If you're seeing some snow right now, this is not the main show. You might be seeing a few flurries still lingering outside from yesterday. We do have some of that in our northeasternmost communities I'm going to talk about. It's enough to be a nuisance, but not nearly as much as a nuisance as this clipper is going to be. Second storm system arrives Saturday. That'll be late morning in a few spots. Most of it starts to really become widespread by Saturday afternoon, and then they'll hang with us all day Saturday and then not really exit until we hit about midnight, 1, 2 o'clock into Sunday. Sunday looks good, but with the amount of snow we're going to see with these back-to-back systems, the bitter cold temperatures down into the single digits by Sunday morning, if you're heading to the Bengals game, I mean, you're asking for some pain in more ways than one, right? But weather is one of those ways. It's going to be very, very cold. Sub-zero wind chills. It depends on your tailgating lot, wherever you're heading to for those, right? But unless they hit those several times through Friday and Saturday, I mean, you're going to have a lot of slick spots outside in those lots. Be very careful. You do not want to slip on that. We'll have some icy spots in the sidewalks, too. Just getting to and from that game could be its own challenge. Then you have to watch the game, right? Let's see. We got a few more comments rolling in. What part of Ohio is going to get hit? How about most of it? If not with the Friday system, you'll definitely get hit by the Saturday and Sunday system. We're going to talk about that, okay, coming up in just a second. Bear with me. Getting through some numbers first. Let's talk about how much snow we've seen so far. People are still tuning in, so I don't want to start talking too much about the specific forecast just yet, because then I'll get to a point and somebody will be like, oh, I hopped on a few minutes late, and then I have to repeat. So I'm going to try to hold off and get some of these numbers out of the way that aren't super important, but they're still interesting. 6.9 inches. We saw 1/10 of an inch of snow yesterday. That is the snowfall total so far this season, almost 7 inches of snow. We should only see about 2 inches of snow, so we're running almost 5 inches, above where we should be on the 30-year normal. The 6.9 is our 14th highest snowfall total to date, all time since snowfall records began. The most is 13.2, and what I will tell you is that some areas could see more than 4 to 6 inches of snow. So we're going to try to make a run at that most all date back in '66 where they saw a little over a foot. And don't forget, with all the bad news I'm going to have outside, how about some good news? Kind of bad news and good news. Our sunset time today is still 5:15, but this is our final sunset of 5:15. Every sunset from here on out all the way through late June, early July of next year will get later and later and later. So June 21st to July 1st, that's our latest sunset time of 9:08. This is our earliest, and it's our final day of it. We've been enjoying this all the way since December the 2nd. The 7-day stretch, or the 9-day stretch is over. Sunsets start getting later and later. That's the only one piece of good news I have for everybody. That's it. All right, Shiree, I'm going to talk about the timing and the totals and all that kind of good stuff coming up here in just a second. Right now, you still have a good window in about 98% of the tri-state to get out and get some errands run. If you want to go on the French toast, tour and get all your breads, milk, and eggs and everything, now's the time to do it. Don't forget, tell them Brad sent you so I get my kickback check. That doesn't actually happen, but it would be nice if it did. 30 outside right now. You still have time between now and about dinner time that you're not going to have to contend with much snow, except for those lingering light snow showers we have outside right now. That's what we're dealing with, mostly in our northeasternmost communities. Right, that's lingering still from yesterday. That'll be pushing out. We'll see a mostly uneventful afternoon, but after the sun sets, this next clipper system is going to dive in. And I want to point out a couple things about it. It's an elongated but very narrow storm. That's why sometimes with these systems, you see us talk about adjustments when it comes to snowfall totals. And you're saying, well, you said 1 to 3 yesterday, why is it now 3 to 5 today, or whatever the totals might be, right? It only takes a small change as this system, and let me just tell you, predicting the future is not easy. It only takes a small change with this system only being a few, I can't even measure it for you and give it an exact number, and that system's only 100 miles wide. So if it shifts 10 miles between now and the time it gets here, it's going to take, some of the tri-state out of seeing any snowfall at all. But it won't. because, I'm never wrong. So with that, that's a lie. With this system sliding in, you'll see how they've warned on this, or I should say in this case, put out an advisory for this. It's not a winter storm warning, but it is a winter weather advisory. That's the purple shaded area. And that is the width of the storm. It doesn't take much. The areas outside of that are going to see up to maybe 1 inch. And that includes our northeasternmost communities, right? We are right on the fringe of what will be the northern half of that system as it dives off to the southeast. That's why these are tricky, because there is a lot of snow generally associated with them. In this case, we're going to see 2 to 4 inches area wide. But if it shifts just a little bit, it takes some of our communities out of that 2 to 4 inch range. So it's going to be slipping and sliding its way on through. Very narrow system as it dives in, with the purple shaded areas generally seeing 2 to 4. The lesser amounts are going to be up in our northeasternmost communities. If you're up here anywhere from pretty much, let's say, Union County through northern portions of Butler County, Warren, Clinton, or Highland counties, those are the areas we're generally going to see a little bit less snowfall. Not zero snowfall, you'll still see some snow, but up to about 1 inch or maybe 2 in a few higher spots the farther southwest you get. Around downtown and areas to the southwest, and don't worry, I have a snowfall map for this. I'm just trying to highlight it now because it'll come up 4 more times. Areas down here, that's where we're going to see the highest totals, 3 to 4 areas around and southwest of town. Let's talk totals and timing, right? How about timing, if I could talk? Late this evening, after sunset, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, the snow becomes widespread, and just about everybody is seeing it by midnight. So if you have to be out late for whatever reason, that's when the snow will start to push in. Snow falls widespread by midnight, continues through the early overnight, but we'll catch some breaks from time to time. Even here, you can see that top end of that snowstorm is now not including those portions I just talked about that are going to see the lesser totals. That's why you're going to see lesser totals. You're on that northern fringe. And a little difference, a little wobble of that storm, if it pushes a little bit further south, we might have some slightly lower totals. Now, if it pushes a little bit farther north, then expect a little bit more. So that's why we give you these windows. I can't pinpoint an exact amount, just like I can't pinpoint a summer thunderstorm of, this town's going to get exactly, 34/100ths of an inch of snow, and or rain, and the other town is going to see just a tenth. That's why we give you these windows about 2 to 4 inches, because in that area, it's going to vary. Through Friday morning, we'll still have some snow on the ground. At this point, by 8 to 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, a lot of roads are going to be a problem, right? It's going to be trouble as you head out the door. We're going to see some slowdowns, especially those side streets, rural roadways that don't get hit all that much. As long as the state crews are doing a decent job, and these snowfall rates aren't going to be, in most cases, impossible to deal with. Sometimes they are. The timing, I'll just say, the timing isn't good. Don't hate on the road crews because, if it's still actively snowing while you're also trying to get out on the roads while they're working, it's going to reduce the effectiveness of what they can do. So with snow still coming down, and at that point there's probably at least 2 to 3 inches of snow on the ground in most spots, expect slowdowns tomorrow morning. We're going to have delays. It is going to be a really slow go of it. There's no real way to dodge it, to get around that problem. Expect delays tomorrow morning. This would be one of the days I should go ahead and quickly post my get-out-of-jail-free card on my my sick note. That would be a good one. That would probably do well on social media today. Because, if you could work from home tomorrow, if that's still an option for you, that would be a great idea. Just because, look, I think things improve by the afternoon and evening once the snow pushes out, but tomorrow morning in particular is going to be a mess. 2 to 4 inches of snow. Doesn't sound like a ton, but you know how it is around here. It is going to slow things down. By the afternoon, we do dry back out. We'll see some clearing. And then we have to get ready for round number 2, and that arrives around or just before midday on Saturday. Here we go with the next timeline. Around 10, 11, 12 o'clock, we'll start to see some snow on Saturday from round number 2 in our northernmost communities. That snow becomes widespread through the afternoon, continues through the evening, and then starts to push out early Sunday morning. So while you're still sleeping, that snow will push back out. But temperatures, as skies clear back out, we will see some partial clearing through the day Sunday. We're talking single-digit lows. I have our low temperature Sunday morning at just 4 degrees. Above zero, it's better than the other, but it's still just 4 degrees as these temperatures start to tumble behind this system. At a certain point, salt doesn't work really well. To get salt to really work as you throw it out on snow, you have to have some kind of melting take place. That's why sometimes you'll see some of the bigger road crews, the state crews, city crews, they'll use a product called beet heat or some other additives to get that melting process started. That way salt can work and lower the freezing point and whatnot. But once you start getting in the single digits, if you're just throwing salt outside on your own sidewalk or your stairs, don't be surprised if it doesn't do anything right away, because it's not going to melt the snow. It just sits out there and it's as cold as the snow is, and then things just don't work that well. Same thing with this, single digit lows in a Sunday morning. If you're heading to the Bengals game, first off, don't go to this game if you do not have some serious winter weather gear. You will be miserable. It's not that we're going to see additional snow as the game is going on, but the high temperature does not get warmer than 20 degrees. We'll see some wind chill values at times through the game, low teens, maybe some single digits. Not a pleasant day, and especially if you're planning on doing the tailgating and then staying out for the entire game. I mean, you're out there for hours. Do not go to this game if you do not have some serious winter weather gear, a way to stay warm. Unless you have sweet tickets, that's nice. If you have some of those, then you're fine. But for the rest of you out there in where I would be, in the nosebleeds up at the very top of the stadium where the wind's blowing over the top, if you don't have some serious winter weather gear, do not go to this. It's going to be miserably cold, right? 4 degrees, 20 for the high. There's just some sunshine. I guess we'll take that. But the other issue with this is we're still, since the second system is going to drop an additional 3 to 5 inches of snow on top of the 2 to 4. For most, there's still going to be snow in the tailgating lot. Your feet are going to be cold. The sidewalks, in most cases, since it's falling on a weekend, there's not going to be people at the businesses, many of them early Sunday morning, to clear that off for you. So you're going to be walking through snow. It's going to be slick, and it's not going to be a pleasant experience. That's all I got to say about that. I'll be hiding somewhere inside with coffee. We're going to wait to next week. Here comes the turnaround, and then I'm going to try to look through these comments and answer some for you. By as early as Tuesday, temperatures are back above freezing. We're back into the 40s on Wednesday, and then the 50s by Thursday. It's going to be a quick turnaround. If you like winter weather, you're going to have a blast this weekend, right? It's going to be great skiing conditions out of Perfect North. It's going to be, whatever you want to do. Your sledding is going to be fantastic. But enjoy that through the weekend or early next week, because by as early as Tuesday, we'll start to see some of that snow melting away. By Wednesday and Thursday, rain returns to the tri-state. Temperatures are back in the 50s, and a lot of the snow, if not all of it, will be gone by the end of next week, right? That next round of rain arrives Thursday and slides on out. All right, without further ado, here's the snowfall total map for round number 1. Let me pull this up full screen for you, just in case you're watching. We'll do a little cross-zoom action there. On a mobile device, maybe you can see it a little bit better now. In the purple shaded area, down to this, generally around and southwest of downtown, that's where we're going to see the highest amounts from this first clipper. That arrives late tonight and continues through Friday morning, right? Tomorrow morning. Even through about midday in most spots. 2 to 4 inches. Where that purple meets the blue, that's about the 2-inch mark, right? Not a guarantee, but that's close to where you should see 2 inches. Higher amounts the farther southwest you get. Lower amounts to the northeast, up to 2 inches. And what that means, that's a clever way to phrase, some spots are going to see only about an inch or maybe up to an inch. But some spots will see as much as 2, but that's generally going to be right along that line, that dividing line. So don't be disappointed if you're a snow lover in our northeasternmost communities, because we have the second system that's going to arrive Saturday into Sunday. And you're going to get the higher amounts the second time, generally. About 3 to 5 inches. There could be some isolated higher amounts. The farther south you get, and really it's going to be southernmost portions of those blue counties off to the south, Owen, Grant, Pendleton, Bracken, Mason, Robertson counties. About 1 to 2 inches down there. Really, the amounts don't really significantly drop off until you get down towards Lexington. But that's where the second clipper is going to ride on through. Let me look at some of the comments. I'm going to leave this up for a second so everybody can get a good eyeball on that. And if you need me on the map to point out where your community is, I'll try my best. Let's see. Where are we at here? No, street level snowcasting is not an option yet. Same as tornadoes, pinpointing those days in advance. Let's see, 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. As you get closer to the hospital, saying you work at a hospital, this is Jen's question. Obviously they do have priorities when it comes to snow removal in the hospital roads. The primary roads around the hospital are the ones that are cleared first. So as you get closer to the hospital, you're going to be in better shape. But if you have any kind of a drive through rural roadways or a lot of side streets to get towards that hospital, you're going to run into problems tomorrow morning. It's going to be slow, and that's going to be area-wide, right? Even the interstates, I think we're still going to have some issues for the morning drive Friday. So don't be surprised we see some delays and closings. Let's see, just got 5 inches of lake effect up in northeast Ohio. It snows every day. Yes, I'm glad we don't have that, Roger. Perfect north forecast. Yeah, I mean, they're already open. They're going to be making a ton of snow on their own through the weekend and early next week. And on top of that, you know, most of the tri-state, and including Perfect North out in Indiana, going to see at least 3 to 6 inches of fresh, you know, natural snow. So, you know, they'll be having, they'll be making their own, but at the same time, they're going to have a lot of natural snow to work with too. You know, 3 to 6 inches, maybe a few more in a few isolated spots. So, in terms of guesstimates, I mean, I don't know what they've already made because I'm not actively over there, but I know they have enough to be open, and I know that they could see another 3 to 6 inches. So hopefully that answers your question. That is through the next couple of days. 2 to 4 Friday, by Friday morning, and another 3 to 5, 3 to 6 total for most areas when you add up both, just depending on the tracks of those systems. But by the time we hit Sunday, most areas 3 to 6 inches, including Perfect North. Northern Kentucky, again, I think for the most part, you're kind of in the heart of both systems. Same goes for downtown. I do think you're going to be on the higher end of that 3 to 6 threshold, just because you're going to see the worst from both systems. So with that said, you know, generally downtown, we're going to be more so towards the 4 to 6 range by the time, or 5 to 6 inches, by the time everything's all said and done. Same thing, Jen. I mean, this should help to sum you up. I'll give you a better way to look at it, or you know, maybe not a better way, but another way to look at this, right? This is both systems. Taking the map I just showed you, and then we're going to go for both and add them all up. At a minimum, doesn't matter where you're at in the tri-state, north, south, east, west, doesn't matter. At a minimum from both systems, you're going to see 2 to 3 inches of snow. That's what we're going to be dealing with. I mean, some of your impacts might not come until Sunday. Some of you might see lesser snow, you know, Saturday night or whatnot. But by the time it's all said and done, by Sunday morning, with the sun peeking back out, and it will be very bright on this freshly fallen snow, 2 to 3 inches by Sunday morning. Most of us are going to see more than that. Most will see between about 3 to 6 inches of snow, and around downtown, I do think we're going to be on the higher end of that window, 5 to 6. Because we're going to get both of these systems, and the pretty much, you know, more of the higher amounts from both of them. So 5 to 6 around downtown at a very high end. This is not everybody. Just like not everybody's going to see the low end of 2, but there might be a few spots, right, that get disappointed. Or for me, I would enjoy that because I'd actually be able to drive. But at the most, we might have a few communities that overachieve and get 8 to 9 inches of snow. That's the very high end. It is not everybody, but a few communities could see that much. If you get the absolute worst of the snow bands, those intense snow bands from both systems, you can see as much as 8 to 9. Again, that's the very, very high end. Most of us, let me emphasize, are going to be here. I know what you're looking at, and you're saying, oh, I see 6 to 9. That is at the most. Not everybody will see this amount. Don't get too excited, or in this case, don't come back to me on Sunday and say, I'm disappointed we only saw 6 inches, because one, that encompasses both of those categories, if we're being quite honest. But also, that's also what I'm saying. Most of you are going to see that amount by the time it's all said and done. A few of you, don't be mad if you get 8 inches and you said most would see this. I did tell you that some of you could see a little bit more. That's just the windows we're working with these two systems. Tough to pin down anyway, but you know. Anyway, I'll get back to it here in a second. All right, let's hop back to this. Let me show you my face because that's very important. Bengals game. It takes a big fan this time of the year anyway to get out to the games, right? It takes the biggest fans to get out there this weekend. I guess I will tell you right now that I'll be a fair weather fan if I'm not standing outside in the 4-degree cold for this. I'll watch on the TV. And the reason why is because you're going to be out there for hours at a time. You're going to be out there. Some of you will get out there for the tailgating. We're waking up to 4 degrees Sunday morning. I cannot reiterate this enough. Do not go to this game if you do not have some serious winter weather gear. If you go out in jeans to this game and just a normal winter coat, you're going to be miserable. It is going to be bitter cold. It's going to be tough to just walk to the stadium. A few of these sidewalks aren't going to be cleared off. That's just how it works, right? This is coming in Saturday night and a Sunday morning. Nobody's up at 2 a.m. outside their business getting that snow cleared off so you can walk to the Bengals game. So be careful. You're going to have slick spots. Not just the roads. I think the roads could be in good shape in a lot of areas getting down there. I think that Cincinnati, the city, was going to make it a priority probably because they know it's a big event. But the side streets, when you're leaving your neighborhood or the tailgating lots, you're going to have some snow still around and just bitter, bitter cold, right? 4 degrees. Feels like temperatures are going to be below zero Sunday morning. Kickoff, 15 balmy degrees. At least we'll have some sunshine. More sun generally as that game goes on. And no additional snowfall the entire time. Right? That snow's out of here by 2 or 3 in the morning on Sunday. But just really, really cold. Not going to be a pleasant time. And when it comes to the snow at the stadium, I don't know what the snow removal crew situation is down there. I don't work game day ops for the Bengals. But, I'm sure they'll be trying their best. But again, with that snow not ending until 2 a.m. and the gates opening up at, let's say, like 10 a.m. on Sunday, there's not much of a window to get a 60,000-plus seat stadium cleared out of snow. So you might have snow on your seat, right? Unless you're in the club seats. I'm not that person because I don't have club seat money. But if you do, enjoy. It'll be a great game. You can sit inside and not have to deal with it. But the rest of you, like me, will not be like me because I'm not going. But if you're going, cold. I'll be a fair weather fan for that. I don't want to freeze. Here's a look at the low temperatures. And again, that's what we're dealing with Sunday and Monday morning. Both Monday, I think we still have lingering slick spots from this mess. It's hard for the salt to work, to get that brine to work, to clear things off, right? So it's just going to be very, very cold next week. And the normals on that, I did not update that. We're already down to 29 for the normal. Either way, it doesn't matter. Right? It's so ridiculously below where we should be. 25 degrees below normal. Departure from normal for this time of the year for both highs and lows. Then we warm back up next week. It'll be a quick turnaround. And here we go for the winter weather lovers. This is my gripe with Mother Nature. You ready? Like I don't gripe enough. We're dealing with all this snow. It's been 7 inches already. We have another 3 to 6 at average for most of us the next couple of days. Let's say at the end of this we end up conservatively with 12 inches, a foot of snow before winter even begins. If I'm going to be dealing with a foot of snow from all the snow we've seen so far just in autumn, working our way towards the first day of winter, I would like at least a little bit of that to stick around for Christmas. And this is too far out into the future to tell you with any certainty, but what I will say is this 8 to 14-day temperature outlook does have warmer temperatures. I mean, we're going to see them as early as next week. 44 Wednesday, 52 for a high on Thursday, and 54 to start next weekend. That is December the 20th. All of the snow we're going to see from these two clipper systems, which, again, they're going to make things a pain, right? A lot of that will not be around by next weekend. I'm talking the 20th and the 21st. And if we stay above normal, we might just see rain between now and Christmas. So, white Christmas chances, long-term speculation, 14 days out, because yes, Christmas Day is exactly 2 weeks away. 14 days out says above normal temperatures through that stretch. Now, it's not to say on day 14 we can't get a big cool down and a big winter storm. That's not out of the question. But right now, the chances are not looking great for a white Christmas. We only see one once every 5 years or so on average here in Cincinnati, so don't be too disappointed. It's not like we have one every year. But right now, above normal temperatures look to settle back in, which I am fine with. You might, again, depending on the white Christmas you might want or not want, we'll either be happy or sad about that news. Let's hop to the 10-day forecast. First 7 days, snow arrives late tonight. Once again on timing. I'll go back to this at the end because I have a few more questions rolling in. And yes, this is going to be my shift. So you were asking about my shift. I am working midday shift. It's kind of like the banker's hours, which doesn't happen a lot in television, so I'm thankful for that. Because I get sleep most of the time until it snows. And then I have to figure out how I'm going to get to work on Friday. So yes, this is going to be my shift moving forward, midday shift, noon stream, sometimes, just depending. Aaron and Anna sometimes pick that up if they want to. And that gives me more time to work on graphics and stuff. Let's see. No more comments over there just yet. Somebody 7 minutes ago asked, what time does it start tonight? So I will jump back into the timing, but specifically just to try to answer that if you're still on the stream, we will see some snowfall as early as 7 to 8 o'clock tonight. That's mostly going to be off to the west. Widespread snow picks up after about 10 to 11 and continues through early tomorrow morning. So that's the timing. Totals about 2 to 4 inches by Friday at noon. Tomorrow at noon. At this time tomorrow. So PM to AM, snowfall there. Late tonight, early tomorrow, 2 to 4 inches with round number 1. Round number 2 drops an additional 3 to 5. Most of that is through the day Saturday. Late morning, all afternoon, all evening, and then we clear back out in most spots by early Sunday morning. That's our next round of first alert weather days. Another 3 to 5. Just a real messy stretch, but it will not hang around long. That Saturday on the forecast there takes us all the way through the 20th. That is the final weekend before Christmas week, which is now, again, 2 weeks away exactly from today. 54 next Saturday. That snow is not sticking around through 50s on Thursday with some storms and rain. It's not sticking around through next weekend with highs in the 50s. We are going to see an above normal stretch for the first time in a while, right? Climbing back above normal, and with rain, it will eat away all that snow. It'll be gone by the time we hit next weekend. Will we see any snow then the week before Christmas? I don't know. I am not a magician. I do not have the crystal ball. I wish I could tell you. What I will tell you is that right now, we are going to see above normal temperatures for much of that stretch, days 8 to 14, which takes us right up to Christmas Day. It's not to say that Christmas Day itself can't be the exception to that, or Christmas Eve even, but it's a long ways out. We'll keep our eyes on that, and we'll have more on, the white Christmas chances, at least a general idea. Let's see, Friday, let's do the math here. We got 5 days, 4 days, 4 days. If I'm doing 4 days from now, that would be, let's see, Friday, Saturday, what, Monday next week? We'll have a better idea by Monday of next week. That took way too long to figure out, but you get the gist. All right, let's hop back real quick. I'm going to go back over the storm one more time, then I'm going to call it quits because I like lunch. I like to eat. High resolution for tonight in terms of snowfall arriving. Bear with me. Here we go. Again, can't rule out a flake here or there flying through the rest of this afternoon, but this is just going to be nuisance stuff. Not a whole lot to worry about. The main show arrives late tonight. By 7 to 8 o'clock in our westernmost communities, we will start to see that snow push in. It will gradually push eastward, encompassing downtown and much of the heart of the tri-state by 9. By 10 o'clock, that storm will continue to drift up towards the northeast slightly, and most of the tri-state is seeing snow by midnight. We will see some dry slots from time to time, which could cut down on some totals, right? That's why we give you a window instead of exact guesstimates, because it just doesn't work that way. And generally, our northeasternmost communities are going to be the ones that lose out on round number 1 in terms of snow, or win out if you don't like snow. Lesser amounts generally in the northeast. It's not that you're going to see zero snow, because you still will, but you'll see more breaks than the rest of us. And then that clears out as early, as about noon for most of the tri-state. That is round number 1, 2 to 4 inches on that. Round number 2, hold please, as another graphic loads up, arrives. We catch a nice little break there for Friday and early Saturday, but it's not going to last long. Saturday, just latest of morning hours, 10 to 11, we'll start to see more snow in our northwesternmost communities. That becomes widespread as early as 12 to 1 o'clock, and then we'll hang on to that snow all the way through early Sunday morning, about 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning before that finally clears back out. We are completely dry, with maybe even a few peaks of sun, by sunrise on Sunday. One more time on the totals. I'll break them down by storm. Storm number 1, 2 to 4 inches for most of the tri-state. Our northeasternmost communities where you saw those gaps, generally lesser totals, up to 2 inches. It doesn't mean everybody gets 2 inches, it's up to 2. Some areas could see even less than an inch. I don't think that's going to be too common, but if you don't even see an inch from round number 1, don't worry, because we'll get you good with round number 2. Round number 2, Saturday to Sunday, 3 to 5, area-wide. Just very slightly lesser amounts there to the south. Most of the tri-state, again, significant totals running through both storms. Here's a different way to look at this when you start to add up both numbers, because what people do, hold on, let me tell you what you're going to do, because this always happens, right, is you're going to see these numbers and you're going to go, well, I am a glutton for punishment, and I see a 5, and I write that down, and then I see a 4, and I say 9, and I say that's what I'm going to get. Not necessarily. I do think that some areas get hit a little harder than one and the other and both, and so there's going to be some variability. Most of you are going to be right there in the middle. Let me pull my little pointer arrow out again. You're going to be right here in the 3 to 6 inch mark, and I really do think areas around downtown, the heart of the tri-state, that are going to get, some of both of these systems, or most even of both of these systems, are going to be closer to 5 to 6 inches, right? Could see a little less. Could see a little more. Some of you are going to be overachievers. And with that, you will see upwards of 7, 8, maybe on the top end, and maybe you will see that 9-inch mark, but that's not going to be everybody, so don't be disappointed and yell at me when you don't get that. Blame Mother Nature. I did my part. All right, one last thing, if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and keep on following along. I know some of you are watching the stream on my page or on the station's Facebook page. If you haven't followed me yet on Facebook, go ahead and do that, because I do post useful information sometimes. Sometimes I post really dumb memes. It really just depends on the day. I got to keep things spicy. Follow me on Facebook. It's Meteorologist Brad Maushart. If you just type in Brad Maushart, there aren't too many of us. There's one other Brad Maushart that I know of that does art or something up in the Northeast. As long as you're not seeing a lot of artsy things, it's not me. You can find me. It slaps Meteorologist if you want to try to spell that out, because there are a lot of vowels. A lot of E's, a lot of O's. But if you just search Maushart even, usually it comes up. That, or you'll hit one of my relatives and they can probably direct you in the right, send you the right direction. On Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it, it is Brad with 3 A's D Weather. I do sometimes post the same stuff that I post on Facebook to Twitter, but I don't really do the tweeter too much because they took away my tweet deck function, and that's how I kept up to date with news, and now since they broke that, I'm rebelling. And then finally, at the back end there, on the more personal note, you can always follow me on Call Me Brad, because a high school, or not a high school, but a college professor would not, they refused. They kept calling me by my legal name, and that was really driving me nuts. So I just made an Instagram about it. Call Me Brad is what I said, and then they didn't listen. That is Instagram, and you can find me there, and that's usually pictures of coffee or, the same information on Facebook, but put to funny music like kazoos. You can find that there on Instagram. And then sometimes, if I ever get around to it, I'll edit photos and put them on there because they've been sitting on my camera for too long. All right, I'm losing viewers like a ship going down. With that said, enjoy the rest of your day. If you have errands to run, do it between now and about dinner time. After that, roads could start to get slick pretty quick. You don't want to be caught out in that late tonight if the snow showers push in your area, and that could happen as early as 7 to 9 o'clock in most spots. Be safe out there. Get your errands taken care of. Get what you need if you're going to hide in and hibernate for the next couple of days. We should see some improvements in roadways by as early as the second half of the weekend, and especially in the next week. But slick spots will still be there too, so be safe. We'll keep you up to date. I'll be back at 3 and 4 o'clock, and then the chief will be back in later on tonight, and we'll see you then. Thanks, guys.